That time when the American military met the Red Russian Army, the topic being peanut butter, and I was the commander-in-chief. My first ever promotion in life was in April 1993 in the Ural Mountains near Yekaterinburg. I'd been working as a humanitarian aid worker for 2 months on a milk powder distribution project targeting large families, children under 3 and pregnant women. And my job basically was to go around and check lists that had been prepared by local authorities in all the towns and villages in and around Sverdlovsk Oblast, which was the area where Yekaterinburg was. And after 2 months of doing this job, it was fascinating. My Californian boss called me into the office in Yekaterinburg and he offered me a promotion. And I've just realized there was no pay increase with this. And there was a second project from the Department of Defense giving out humanitarian assistance to certain targeted groups as well. And this was in an area about the size of West Germany, but without the infrastructure and without the communications. And this was back in 1993, so it was before email, it was before social media and all those mobile phones and that kind of stuff. And my job that I was offered was to run this project where all this humanitarian aid would come into, I think, 17 different locations within the region. And we had our groups that we would distribute to, and my responsibility was to organize the logistics to receive all this aid. It was all coming by train from Moscow, to warehouse it, and then to organize the accountable distribution to all these vulnerable groups that were identified. And so I took on the job, and basically, I think I've been in the job about 4 or 5 days. I was kind of up to speed about what was going to go on. I had the comfort of knowing that because the Russian rail system was so slow, I was told by my colleagues in Moscow that it took at least 10 days from departing their warehouse in Kombinat Gorny in Moscow to come all the way to the 17 distribution points in Sverdlovsk Oblast. So whatever happened when the trains actually left, I would then have at least 10 days to organize myself to find people to meet the containers, to organize people to unload the containers, and then to get into the warehouse to do everything accountably. So I was introduced as the new boss to this project. I had my team of people who'd been spending the last few months going around the area doing all these pre-checks. And on the Monday morning, we had a meeting, and there were 2 projects, the milk project, which I've been working on, and also this DoD, Department of Defense project called Operation Provide Hope. Our project, the one I'd just taken over, had done all the pre-checks, and my team had nothing to do. And the milk powder project was a little bit behind, so I said, well, if you've got nothing to do this week, then I'm going to give you all over to the milk project. You can work with them and move that project through faster, do all the pre-checks and so on. So basically what would happen is we'd have a team meeting on the Monday morning, and then they would leave on the Monday after the meeting, and they would go off to all these places up north and around and west. And we would not really have any contact with them for the rest of the week because there was no email. As I said, there was no mobile phones. They were pretty much incontactable. And I knew that I had about at least 10 days because I hadn't heard from the people in Moscow. I had a lot of admin and getting to know the job and everything else, meetings with local officials, that kind of stuff. So everything was fine. Everybody went off. Everybody was happy. And I think they left about 9:45, and about 10:15 there was a phone call from the mayor of Serov, which is a town right up in the north of Sverdlovsk Oblast. And he said, "Where are you guys?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, the train's arrived and there's nobody here to meet them. What do we do?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "We have 4 containers that have come in. What do you want us to do with them?" And I was like, well, how is that possible? Because I was going to have 10 days notice. And then I got a phone call from another town and another town, and everyone was like, "You guys have been coming for months, doing all these pre-checks, spending all this time up here, and now the containers are here, and where the hell are you?" It was one of those freak things in Russian train transport. 10 days it was supposed to take. The wagons were let go 2 days before. It was a Friday, and they just hadn't bothered to inform us, and they were going to inform us sometime this week. And so basically, you imagine the situation where I'm not able to get in contact with any of my team because no phones, no email, no contact details, whatever else. And they're gone till Friday, and I've got 17 different destinations within an area the size of West Germany with all these wagons that have come. And there's lots of demurrage charges. If you don't unload it at a certain time, then you have to pay a penalty. And so it was real panic stations, and we contacted every single local authority in all these towns by the official phone. You know, they went round to the hotel where my team was staying at and said there's a different instruction and this is this. And we were basically running around, and we managed to get to each different station to meet the train. But then, of course, we didn't have anyone to unload because we hadn't actually got that arrangement yet. And the governor of the region decided to intervene, and he seconded the Russian Red Army to go to all the different train stations and to help with unloading. And because manpower was short, I also wanted to be part of the team, and so I jumped in a car and I went to a town called Irbit, which is not far from Yekaterinburg, and I was there. And I had this very, very bizarre situation where I had these wagons of humanitarian aid, which had been sent by the American Army. And then I had on the station the Russian Red Army as the volunteers to unload this. And I was the commander-in-chief, and I was the guy in charge of all this. And I had no idea what was inside this. I knew it was supplies from the Department of Defense, but I didn't know anything more than that. I said, well, okay, Davai, let's open this thing. And they tried to open it. It was like one of these like iron containers, and they pulled it back and so on. Something was stuck on the inside, and they pulled it and pulled it and pulled it. And this went on for about 10 minutes, and eventually they managed to get the thing free. And as they pulled it back, this, I guess, a 4-kilo tin of something just plopped out, and it just fell. It was sliced in two because of the thing opened the door, and it just landed on the station, on the platform. And it was a 4-kilo tin of peanut butter. And all these Russian soldiers that have been there unloading all this stuff, not knowing what it was, really curious about American culture and everything else. And they just looked down at this like peanut butter, and I didn't know what to do. So I just put my finger in, and I just went, put it in, ukusna, tasty. And that's how my story with the Department of Defense humanitarian aid started. And trust me, in the next chapter, you'll find out a lot more about what a farce it was.